Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Paladins Xbox Finals. Thank you so much, all in attendance, ready to go, because it is the time to decide who is the best console team from the Xbox side of things. Of course, PS4 was decided yesterday. Team Invigorate versus Team Cryptic, and Cryptic found themselves in the finals. Now it's EU's turn to decide if it will be Strictly Business or it'll be GankStars coming through to the top. Without further ado, of course, my name is Rende. Let's send it over and start the action for your casters here today for the Xbox Finals. Alan, I hold shift, Donofrio, and Nick, Hi-Rez, pretty hair, Keo.
Thank you so much. Evan, welcome. Friends, Paladins champions alike to the Xbox Finals. Now, yesterday got me very excited. That was a lot of fun to watch. A lot of different flavors coming out from the console side of things in terms of picks, drafts, strategies, overall play styles for console versus PC. It was pretty one-sided, I have to say, against Team Cryptic. Now, do you expect a little bit something different, a little bit closer of a matchup between the Xbox teams today?
All across the board, whether it's just team versus team, both of these guys have not lost a single set. And the only actual losses have been maps for Strictly Business, totaling at a whopping 2 map losses.
Oh
so
boy.
Both of these guys are really good, and on top of that, you're also going to see a lot more of those flavor picks. Specifically, Naaaarrrrk has been really popular with his Cassie and his Eevee gameplay in Bloakley with his Makoa. These are just a couple instances of some hot plays we're probably going to see.
Beautiful, guys, and this has been a very exciting new experience for us all, and it shall continue at HRX. The console wars will return. More details to come as far as qualifying path and formats and all that nitty-gritty stuff. All you need to know is that it will be there. And this is a really cool dynamic because not only do we get to fight for regional pride, but we get to fight for our platform pride as well. And I mean, I'm a console gamer. I grew up playing console as well, so it's always cool to be able to see that. 4-1 was the scoreline yesterday between Invigorate Gaming and Team Cryptic. And now Cryptic awaiting the winners. Both Cryptic teams have now made it to the finals on both NAPC and EU PS4. And a little bit about this Strictly Business squad. You said they've lost a total of 2 maps?
2 maps. That's it. Not much. They're really, really solid team.
How many flaws then?
Not many. Oh, 2 of them, actually. Look at it that way. Strictly Business, again, this is a squad that has been doing very well on Xbox. They had really not much competition throughout, obviously, as they moved all the way through. And you can take a look with our man Shoo in the very end. Skeppii next to him does a lot of hit scan damage, plays a lot of Victor, plays a lot of Tyra, and that's, of course, what we saw a lot of yesterday, with just the aim assist being so much more prevalent and getting that extra damage in. Wonderful, right in the center stage for Strictly Business, trying to get North America all the way back. Kcam, most famously for his Drogoz play, has played almost exclusively Drogoz throughout all of the qualifiers, which is, again, really interesting to see how that dynamic changes between console and, of course, PC. And the last but not least, Woosh, the man himself, finishing off the roster.
For this GankStars squad down there on the 8s. Power lifter, loves peanut butter. My man himself is a big dude. He's probably close to my height. Probably weighs more than me. Probably bench press me. WRLDedit sitting to his left. Quiet, calm, hanging loose, my dude. My fellow Naaaarrrrk here, you were highlighting a little bit, loves the Eevee, which is awesome to me. Definitely a difficult character to play. Chilling out, ready to make it rain. Bloakley. I love that name. I love console names. Something about console names.
They're always so much spicier.
That are mad good. Welsh Mania. Lasered in.
Yeah, with the 3. Just Welsh Mania.
Ready to frag. Beautiful stuff there.
But again, I mean, these guys have been absolutely flawless, and they have won very handedly and very closely. So it's not like they've been used to just dominating. How are they going to respond against adversity? A lot of the matches they had later on in the last couple of weeks were 4-3s, 4-2s, a couple of team fights not going their way. It could have been a different scenario. So not the case as GankStars has continued to be a very prevalent front, not only on PC as we saw, but of course here on console, trying to get somebody to the finals today. And this might just be the best opportunity for them to do so. This, I mean, again, this Xbox team is absolutely incredible.
Well, ladies and gents, without further ado, let's go ahead and get into things here. Map number 1. It's going to be played on Brightmarsh. We saw this yesterday, and
a lot of it.
It definitely looked like a pretty console-heavy map in terms of tanks seem a little bit better on console. I mean, they are very strong on PC with Naaaarrrrk in particular. And talk to me a little bit about these picks. Pip, I'm looking at Adroxus as well, because Swiper the one yesterday on Cryptic's PS4 team was insane on both of these. Is there any standout Pip players acrobatics pips in particular from either of these squads?
We haven't seen a lot of that from the Xbox side, which is really kind of strange, right? You would think that one console would translate to another, but GankStars plays a very kind of straight up and down team composition, kind of what you would normally see on the PC side, while Strictly Business definitely does favor more of those hit scan based characters. Anything can happen. I mean, without a doubt, all of these characters are
this
super.
Tournament has taught us anything.
Yeah, exactly. And of course, with the best of 7, people can change up those comps as we go through, but let's get into draft for that Brightmarsh #1 with Strictly Business has the first overall selection here.
Excited to see what they go for first. And would you say that it's fair that not only we've seen regional differences in terms of metas, comps, play styles, but is there a significant difference between platforms in terms of what they go for in their picks from PS4 to the Xbox?
It kind of seems that way. And again, I can't put my finger on any reason why that is. Maybe, again, you got to keep in mind that console's relatively new, right?
Think about it that way.
It could very well just be the fact that they feel like they're strongest on these 5 or 6, 7 champions, and they want to kind of keep their composition limited to that, versus, you know, where PCs had years now to get used to every single character.
It's the cycle of competition, right? If a good team, mechanically just the best, comes in before a lot of strategies are figured out, whatever they're winning with is going to be considered the best. It's going to be considered the meta. Whether or not that is the case has yet to be seen. Ruckus, first selection for Strictly Business, getting right along. Barrack Makoa is the answer for GankStars. Victor Drogos. Didn't see a ton of Drogos yesterday, so there's a big difference already. In Jiraxis, we saw a little bit, but I'm definitely excited to see more of him. Saris is the chosen healer for the GankStars with 1 left open. Ying and Fernando. Is that the first Fernando of the tournament,
I was
period?
about to ask you the same question, so I'm going to say that it probably is.
If we're asking, it's probably because we haven't seen much of it. Bomb King, the final selection to come through. I mean, I'm liking this GankStars comp, I gotta say.
Yeah, I mean,
what I've seen of PC, but that's kind of goes out the window in terms of what they can get done on console.
The functionality just generally, when you consider you have blast damage and direct damage, will automatically give you at least some diversity as far as how well you're able to effectively, you know, box out your opponents, whether it is 1v1s or situations like on Brightmarsh, where Bomb King will be very impactful on the central part of the fight. I'm excited to see the Fernando, though, again, because we haven't seen much of him, and that shield really can turn away a lot of damage very quickly if Aegis is picked up as a legendary selection. We are in game.
Let the battle begin.
For the GankStars on the Bomb King. Hit it on out. No Naaaarrrrk, no Ashe for either of these squads on this map. And I see Naaaarrrrk here. A lot of pressure into the backline immediately. Goes down. The Victor player with a lot of pressure from the GankStars who get the early frags.
And this is where Bloakley has been so impressive over the course of the last handful of weeks while he's been qualifying. He doesn't miss many hooks whatsoever, and that's really big when it comes to obviously getting kill conversion, but also just getting the positioning generally in his team's favor. You see Ace is on the outside, and now it's almost a full flank around the back as Welshmania gets a kill onto Woosh, who was not able to get his shield up back in time. Naaaarrrrk also trying to chase down kills. Again, that 1v1 matchup, Andro versus Drogos, typically goes the way of Andro, and that's the case here as Skeppii also picked apart. Naaaarrrrk looking for a 3rd straight kill. Will he find it? Repulsor will say not so fast.
Just electing to feed that and actually stop shooting. Naaaarrrrk will go down. Control back of the point to Strictly Business. 87 now north of 90%. It felt like GankStars were off to a great start on that fight. They're here to contest the payload, but for how much longer?
Yeah, Ying on point, able to keep everybody alive and in the meantime get the objective time up. And you can see Skeppii finding 2 Wxnderful with the 3rd, and at 99% make it just a full 100. Strictly Business draws first blood when it comes to the scoreboard. And again, Wxnderful on Ruckus just keeps being aggressive, knowing he's got a Fernando right with him. And this is the nice polar play that I like between these two, is Fernando will join up with the Ruckus, put the shield up, and allow him to free fire. Then on the retreat, the Ruckus will go ahead and drop the repulsor field and emitter to keep both of them alive.
Big barrage comes down. 2 kills found for the GankStars. Nice counter pulls him out of that ultimate with the hook. Ying pretty close to her ultimate as well. Just looking for an angle, but losing 2 frags for free. GankStars probably aren't looking to get too aggressive here. Now actually a nice little 1v1 here. Shoo SB. Early on, I mean, Ying can 1v1 a lot of people just because of the amount of healing she can output onto herself.
Without a doubt, and focusing lens you can see is being picked up. You see that 320 damage when connecting through the entire beam of that focusing lens. So really big damage numbers coming out for Shoo on a 5 streak. And of course, just look at the positioning, able to drop the Illusionary Rift for free while also having those illusions there if she so chooses to need them. But with a little under a minute 30, this payload continues to move, and this is looking good for Strictly Business.
Dragon Punch missed just because of the sheer fact there was no one left to punch. King Bomb comes rolling off the top deck. Ace picks up the first frag of this engagement, but he is under constant pressure and heat from Woosh. 3 for 2 thus far in favor of Strictly Business.
Looking to put this one all the way through. Fernando staying alive. Convergence though, and the shield will actually keep him away from that pull. This is looking really good, but can he stay alive for long? 800 HP, pulled into danger, will be dropped away by Bloakley. And now it's Makoa who's taking the charge of the front line, saying, let's get back in this team. We did not expect to come out this early to go down 2-0. And now with the barricade as well, able to get turrets set up, this is looking a lot more likely for a sustained defense.
45 seconds on the clock here for the GankStars to hold this defense, or for Strictly Business to convert. Push themselves up 2-0. Both teams under a lot of pressure right now, and that's a very console death to me. Just couldn't turn around fast enough for you to see that come into play.
And it's funny when you look at the movement, everyone just looks at this being just not as skillful, but the Kings of the Sticks sometimes have trouble getting their thumbs to move all the way through while keeping their aim in close situations. But look at all these kills coming out for Strictly Business. The hours must be between 9 and 5 because they get a full team wipe and 2 points on the board, up 2-0.
And Drox is getting a little bit big for his britches there, a little bit too far out, gets caught out and punished for it. And then it's an easy 4v5 from there on out. GankStars have got to find a way to stabilize here. I think that round, I think it's safe to say, went long enough for them to get cauterized 2s, wreck 2s, that sort of thing online. So they're not going to be down too much. Comeback mechanic still enabled for them nonetheless.
And looking really strong throughout all these team fights so far is Strictly Business. So even though they might be facing up against similar itemization when it comes to the offensive items, the fact of the matter is they've been able to position very well around the outside of the team fights, and just keeping Shoo on the point for free. You can see morale boost too as well is really going to help that Illusionary Rift and just the general healing of the team just get that much higher.
A lot of credits in hand for Ying, saving up for something. 69% on her ult. Keeping this Fernando healthy. They're heading straight to the back line here. Strictly Business want to get aggressive. Hexafire, but there's a lot in Ruckus's way, and he's the first to fall.
But Eights is not able to get his damage onto point. You can see Shoo is actually just wandering right into point, using those illusions, and now the Illusionary Rift as well, trying to break out what WRLDedit's base was with those turrets. Drops him off the page, but now Eights is actually coming back to it, but Skeppii is still here, out by the dock, completely uncharacterized or whatsoever. Profile this, just comes through the side, finds himself another kill. Welshmania, though, finally trades it up, but still Strictly Business is in a position to control this point.
Hipfire Victor is a change. We do not get to see him very often on the PC side of things, but he is absolutely shredding through these tanks with reckless abandon right now. 50% was captured by the GankStars, 66-69, and climbing for Strictly Business. One ultimate to their name, and they get it done.
Eights is trying to box out. We'll find Kcam, a big pick there, but still running very low on his HP. And Skeppii is tracking it down, now trying to chase out Seraph. We've already seen how important it is to take down the healer. And taking the fight with only 200 HP, we'll get some support. And once again, it is Strictly Business finding 4 of the 5. And Drox is able to escape with his life just narrowly on that awning, but overtime is ticking away, and I don't think he can contend.
Ticks down, and even so, Strictly Business, we're so dug in there. 2 Yang Illusions, Fernando shield down, Ruckus primed and ready to fire away at any of the GankStars who would contest them. Could be a good grouping here for the Barrage to come out, and it will. 1 shell crashes down, 2 and 3, so many members low. Double kill already. Make it a triple kill. Quad kill almost here. Could it be the quadra kill? All 5 just too quickly there. Skeppii showing us the man himself, the Chainsaw Victor.
I'm telling you, man, that grouping, as you brought up, was just absolutely crucial. He's at 61,000 damage. We're barely over 7 minutes in the game. That's almost 10,000 damage a minute, and you got to keep in mind some of that time is spent in spawn between rounds. So this is absolutely nutty to see those numbers coming out again for that firefight Victor, and more kills still coming as you see the Hexafire is in the distance, shredding through. Shoo able to find some kills as well with the focusing lens, and this is all Strictly Business again, shredding through what is GankStars. Only Seraph left alive, and she falls very quickly as Shoo picks up a double, and Strictly Business looks to put this one away. 4-0, who can contest?
5-0 in Drox's rise, but nothing can stop Strictly Business as they make it look easy, Alan.
That's the first pentakill we've seen on stream.
think it was a delay. It was a delayed penta. The game didn't give him credit.
I
Probably
saw all 5.
I did see all 5. The first one came a little bit quickly, but the man himself, Skeppii, my goodness gracious, strictly business. We thought it was going to be a little bit closer because neither of these teams lost many maps, but clearly strictly business are here to win. GankStars have got to find an answer.
And this is just so interesting to see as we go through just the stat lines once more. Again, 146 objective time for Shoo. That was the key in that first point specifically. All this fighting is happening on the outside, and Shoo is just happy to get those illusions up and just sit on point. Just a conventional link between the 3 spots as much as you can. Of course, the 58,000 damage coming out for Ruckus, but still topped by the 68.7K for the main man, Skeppii, who goes 15, 5, and 14. Good grief.
I mean, you almost have to point to that, right? Because the healing numbers, they're within, goodness gracious, what is that, like 100? And then the shielding numbers are within a reason about 30,000 of each other. But Skeppii right there, way out in front on the frag charts. And I mean, getting a free team fight that close to conversion, such a good way to push your team towards victory. That was their map pick. So granted, GankStars will have the chance to answer, and we just saw a 7-game slugfest between QG and Kanga. They were both taking map for map with each other. Beautiful stuff from those squads.
Well, the other interesting thing, too, when you look at just the picks that just occurred, I mean, the Androxus, very little effect whatsoever. Bomb King, same way, just did not really get himself onto the point to get these poppy bombs and grubby bombs to be disruptive, really whatsoever. And that's just really strange. I think GankStars did not expect how much pressure they were going to get out of Victor. And I think going forward, you need to find a more open map to where you can really maneuver, get that Bomb King in position, find an opportunity for Naaaarrrrk to go on Cassie or Eevee. Maybe the Androxus just quite wasn't the flavor that they needed here on map number 1.
Eevee would be a good answer. It's a good answer on PC, but that Victor, it's so difficult. Like we were saying, Torvald was the big difference maker for QG in terms of Victor as a character very delicately balanced around his HP and his DPS, but Firefight just puts so much. It's probably close to the highest sheet DPS in the game, I would wager.
Especially after reload, right? You get that extra bonus slug damage, and we will be going to Serpent Beach for map 2. So we are, we are getting that more open style map. So this will be really good, I think, for Strictly Business to see how they face up against that open corridor where GankStars literally should do better. I think just the close quarters was just too much for them, especially dealing with Victor and 3-man, 4-man barrages that kept pounding down on them. That's just incredible positioning.
Definitely difficult to deal with. Be interesting to see because this is a best of 7. GankStars have plenty of time to adjust. That is what we like to see out of these teams, especially on land. You have, I would say that's almost the most valuable thing you can bring to it. You know, you're how you do in the online qualifiers, how you do in scrim. Sure, that's nice to talk about. That's nice to point to, but when it comes to putting your pedal to the metal, you're testing what you can really do. It's all here, and it's all about adapting. And we saw, what, in that last Game 7, we saw, I think, 3 picks that we just haven't seen before at all in that set.
Yeah, it's absolutely incredible. And again, as you talk about just the LAN environment and being able to adapt, I think if you're GankStars, you're not at that point yet. You don't have to necessarily adapt. You just need to play your game. You need to find a way to get yourself established and set up. And you can actually see Naaaarrrk on screen. It's just, he's still enjoying, he's vibing, he's grooving, he's got a smile on his face. They're ready to go. They know that what they had throughout the online qualifier was very strong, not just for them, but also against opponents. And you can actually see, man, he is just stone cold, Skeppii. Just visor down and just in the computer monitor as much as possible. And I don't know, this comes down to what can Strictly Business continue to do? Because you're not going to find 4-0 success likely the entire time through. GankStars has got to put up a fight very early and kind of set the tone, but if you're a fan of Strictly Business, you just hope it doesn't put them on their heels right away.
Absolutely, you have to be able to deal with adversity. We've seen just about every team in every set of almost this tournament. I'd say the other console, the PS4 final, was probably the most dominant we saw this tournament thus far, but every other team has had to deal with adversity, had to deal with being down, had to deal with a tough loss, had to deal with the draft not going your way, a team fight slipping through your fingers. It's how you pick yourself back up, how you become stronger from those experiences. GankStars down you know, I guess what you could say a pretty quick and painless 4-0. That's not one of those agonizing defeats where you really left it all out on the field. That was a quick, I think, hopefully they can point to internally what went wrong for them the most, try and move forward from that loss.
And that's actually a big mindset change that I think anyone out there watching that wants to get their own console wars team started is you're going to come up against teams that flat out just play you better on certain maps. You might get 4-0'd, but the fact of the matter is you have to come out and play your own game. Now GankStars had map choice, and they have first overall choice with a lot of games left to play with. It's interesting to see what they're going to go with here, because again, the front line for Strictly Business could kind of go one way or the other. The Ruckus, I think, is a really strong start for the guys at GankStars.
We see Ruckus often first picked on PC, just an all-around good character, not super map dependent, not really team comp dependent, so you get yourself a solid start to the draft and not showing too much in the way of what your overall strategy is going to be. Drogos Victor for Strictly Business. To answer, GankStars will go with the Makoa, the Bomb King, for likely Bloakley and 8s. Strictly Business has Skeppii B back on Victor, I would imagine. Who do you see playing this Drogos for Strictly Business?
It's got to be Kcam. I mean, he played a lot of him before and has had a very successful run using the Drogos. And it's interesting because both of these teams, when you look back at what they've played in their online qualifier, neither one of them has really touched each other's champion pool. So they might as well just go into blind pick and just pick their 5 dudes and come back out. Although this is interesting, we are going to see a Buck come out, so we've seen his impact on PC. It'll be interesting to see how that translates over to the Xbox scene particularly.
UG's reign is already trickling down.
Already? It's been attempted multiple times.
It transcends both region and platform. Rounding out with a Barrack and a Ying deployable nightmare here for Strictly Business, and that's going to be pretty difficult. I like the transition in the draft from Strictly Business away from what Buck is excelling against. They're not looking to spread out. They're not making easy picks for Buck. They're going to clump up, stay together, hopefully stand strong.
And I mean, who's going to deal with these deployables? Like, the only option I see is Saris and Ruckus, but even them, they're going to have a hard time getting into that illusion and that turret range, and they're going to take a lot of damage along the way. So this is a really smart draft for Strictly Business. They take the Drogos because it's one of their preferred picks, and then realize, hey, we can get away with doing the double deployable because there's really nobody else out there that could take care of him as well as a Drogos could.
So you mentioned that, you know, these teams' metas, not only the regional metas, but the platform metas are pretty different, and I always like to see that, right, where they aren't dipping into each other's champion pools. It feels like everyone's getting what they want. You just get to see the raw skill play out. Who's got the more superior play style? You know, you could look at maybe the EU PS4 meta does well against the EU or the NA PS4 meta, but maybe doesn't stack up so well against either of these Xbox metas. It's almost like we have 4 metas going for ourselves right now.
Yeah,
in console wars.
Without a doubt, and I think that really shows the familiarity is key. But it is going to be 8s on Bomb Geek finding the first kill. WRLDedit is right in the back line as well. Naaaarrrrk finding the second, so first and second blood going the way of GankStars. And this is looking really good for the boys, making the change-up like we saw in the draft and finding something that works. Naaaarrrrk finding another kill again on the Ruckus. A lot of that hit scan just continues to funnel through.
33% already for the GankStars on the point. 42 and climbing, continuing to hang on to this. So definitely a different story this time around. Strictly Business have to rein this one back in if they can. 8's definitely getting a lot more momentum on his side of things.
Yeah, where is the Drogos? He needs to get into the air and start splitting up this point. He's at 84%. No one's even stepped foot. Now finally does Strictly Business as Shoo finds himself a double, and Skeppii able to support up with a third, clearing out what is that right side that you see Kcam near, and now trying to funnel away from the Ruckus. Able to get a couple direct shots, but backing up 42% now, and going up and over that is Strictly Business. And again, the double deployables are getting set up, and that's going to be really hard to break.
Can't let Skeppii be set up. WRLDedit's not trying to let that happen. Takes him down with post haste, 78% on the point. Strictly Business quickly closing the gap here. King Bomb, though, getting pretty close to being ready to go for 8s. He's got it ready at a moment's notice, but doesn't look like GankStars are gonna need it.
Wow, not even a little bit. You saw the deployable starting to fall low. 8's cleaning up 2 of those kills, and Welsh Media doing a lot of the work as both the turrets and illusions were rather stacked up, using that soul orb just to completely get all that stuff off the field. And that's really big to stack those up and have the damage transition from one to the next. And WRLDedit has been such a pain so far. You see him up here on the platform looking to continue to put pressure on that left side flank. He's done a good job, and 8's is actually taking over the baton and doing the same thing as well. Kcam pulled into danger. This is really bad, and there's no thrust available, so he will fall.
Bloakley in some trouble getting topped off by Saris. Now 4 seconds left on his Dredge Anchor cooldown. Doesn't have a shell shield available either. Going to shell spin to the back line where he will find himself a victor, but completely content to just slaughter through that. The chainsaw damage is good enough. Wxnderful with 2 kills in this engagement. Woosh with 1, and it looks like a Strictly Business hold at least for now.
And this is really big to see that Shoo on Ying, who is essentially by herself into the payload, is able to set up a couple of illusions and jump right back into the fight, getting that consistent healing while putting out some damage. It's really, really big when you're coming from your support player, not just for the healing, but again, we talked a lot about minimum and maximums, able to find a way to do damage while you're not necessarily healing, and that's a prime example of doing so right there.
Dragon Punch now at the ready. 3 ultimates for the GankStars. Here comes the King Bomb over the top and straight in the face of Kcam. 8's pinpoint accuracy with that one. Lazy could learn a thing or two from his console team.
That's difficult to do too, especially on console, finding a way to not only position that pop bomb properly, but also maneuver right into the face of Kcam, taking him out instantly. You saw the Ancient Rage will expire as Bloakley takes out one. Now Naaaarrrrk is taking the reins over in this front line, trying to find a way to take care of Ashe, who's being annoying right on top of the point, and it actually allowed Kcam a chance to come back into the fight and do some damage of his own, but still the kill feed reads blue, and WRLDedit is actually giving it right back to Kcam, almost as if he's getting a little bit of revenge for that ultimate that he saw earlier, and now coming back through, and again, right on top of these turrets, that's really tough. He doesn't have the ability to jump right back out.
You can't sleep on this Barrack turret damage. They really start to stack up. Nice hook from Bloakley that pulls in Shoo, takes the sustain off the board for Strictly Business, heads to the back line, but finds himself punished for doing so. Kcam credited with that kill. Ruckus headed up to the high ground there alongside his Bomb King. Actually going to let this stay on the low ground here. 16 seconds remain. Oh, shift. How big are these ultimate commitments going to be to hold this defense?
And that really comes down to how well the offense thinks they're able to push in, or vice versa, if the defense absolutely needs to use them. Right now, still trying to find a way to frag out is 8. He's got a really good position, looking for Kcam as he floats around this corner near the base. Meanwhile, Naaaarrrrk on the point with Bloakley, trying to get the damage down into that front line, but Sarah's not in time to help heal anybody up, as Wxnderful is able to take out the Ruckus played by Naaaarrrrk, and now with Grumpy Bombs coming out, it looks to be that it will be a successful defense. Overtime is in effect, and the kill feed looking red as it will expire away here pretty shortly, as again, the kills continue to come out for the red side.
They just don't want to give it up. There it is. Strictly Business put their foot down, and even still, GankStars not willing to give up on that offensive push. Going to tie things up 1-1. Itemizations, do you assume it will be about equalized with the length of that round?
I think it has to be, but the big question becomes, how does Strictly Business get themselves invested into master riding? You need to get your Ying, and you need to get that Barrack to point as fast as you possibly can. They start getting set up, so that way it doesn't give GankStars an opportunity to do their name and hit that flank and get that gank going. If they can just keep themselves on the point, they should be a lot more successful when it comes to capturing the neutral point. But again, that's just one person's opinion.
5, 4.
Looks like the master ridings are coming out, at least for Strictly Business, not on the Ying or the Barrack. It's actually on Skeppii and Wxnderful looking to be the first ones there. They will. Ashe make her way on to point. 3% already captured. Assert dominance, ready to go if she wills it.
Oh, big pull, getting the Barrack out. The Dragon Punch also coming through. Kcam will convert it onto Bloakley. Big pick. WRLDedit does find Woosh though. So again, frontliner for frontliner. The Naaaarrrrk does fall. And meanwhile, the rest of Strictly Business are happy to kind of trade places back and forth to see who can capture the point the most. 42% convergence coming down also nearby, but Illusionary Rift also is spawned up. And Strictly Business continues to sustain themselves through the fights.
Little fake Fuselage Drogos there, if you will. If you direct impact somebody with a Fire Spit instead of exploding it, they take 100% more damage from your auto attacks for the next couple of seconds. But Strictly Business are holding this one down, 96%. Dome Shield's down, the Hexifire's there, but there's just way too much mitigation for that to be effective.
Yeah, he had gone into the aerial assault just as the Dome Shield was being spawned up, so unfortunately not able to hold off on the trigger discipline to get that Hexafire into place. And now Strictly Business, thanks to that clutch performance by Barrack, is able to get themselves up 2-1 on Serpent Beach. And now looking for more. You see Wxnderful is right up in here, not afraid to take the fight, even though the payload's really not close yet.
Everything available for Wxnderful. Assert dominance, shoulder charge, kinetic blast. Honestly, you got to be careful at this stage of Serpent Beach. The knockoff is definitely enough to send you into the ocean if you're not careful. Assert dominance, trying to keep yourself alive. Kinetic burst could be big here. Doesn't like to pop it just yet. 3 seconds on his shoulder bash. Primes the kinetic burst. Wants to get out of this fight.
Wow. That was absolutely clutch. Looking for the battering ram to go right into AIDS to try to get that trigger of the King Bomb away. But Shoo says, don't worry, buddy, I'll take care of this and heal you up at the same time. As you see now, it is Naaaarrrrk who's in a really interesting spot. The Ancient Rage is actually forcing him to commit up towards his other frontliner. Bloakley finds one, Naaaarrrrk another. So it's 2 for none as both frontliners go absolutely ham-bony, towards the payload, and now following up, WRLDedit trying to get back in there as Buck.
No dimensional link available this time. Bloakley is going to slay Shoo. Minute 44 remains in the round. WRLDedit trying to go on the wonderful 8 takes down Skeppii, and Strictly Business for the first time this round are on the back foot in a big way. Kcam's trying to get a fadeaway kill. Woosh is going to help him with it. Kcam escaping with minimal HP.
But still, the commit I like a lot just because it continues to force Strictly Business back and makes them have to deal with that flank. In the meantime, it's a lot of time off the clock, but not able to get back up to the high ground puts him in a very bad spot. And now the opportunity swings in favor of Strictly Business. 2 people down, and they're both frontliners. So what can they make? This would be a really good time to convert a couple of ultimates for kills.
50 seconds remain on the clock. GankStars with 2 ultimates to hold Strictly Business with 2 ultimates to force their way through. Here comes the Dragon Punch, looking to give themselves a little bit of momentum. Welshmania tries to keep WRLDedit alive, but Skeppii's damage is simply too much. Kcam converts that Dragon Punch onto 8. Saris is in some trouble right now. Convergence is here, but GankStars barely holding on.
And Skeppii from the distance is able to continue to pepper across, and a little celebratory Cosmic Dance at the end. Strictly Business, I mean, that's exactly what you want. You get both frontliners down, you force yourself to find 1 more pick, 2 more picks. By the time those frontliners come back, they have no damage there with them or no support with them. You continue to stagger them in that fashion by role, not necessarily just by number.
Strictly Business feeling like they're doing a really good job spreading out pressure, right? They had pressure on the Buck, couldn't save his life, and then Saris is immediately under pressure. Meanwhile, there's still frags being found on the front side of that fight. No one is comfortable. When you let somebody get comfortable, you don't pressure them in a fight, they're going to land all their shots, going to do all their damage, take their character to the most effectiveness it can possibly be. And really putting somebody on the back foot. Actually, I like what I'm seeing here from Welshmania, the bulldozer pickup. You mentioned this earlier, Saris being able to be very effective at clearing out all the Inklones and barrack turrets.
Now 100% extra damage from those at level 2 is really big again. That might be what they need to get back into this, but still, you can't really use that as well to get through that dome shield, as it will be stuck up right on top of point. 24% for Strictly Business and counting, as again, we're seeing just continual deaths coming out for GankStars. This is not a familiar place for them, being down this badly, this early on in these maps, and they're struggling to get their footing on track.
60%. Already ready to go. 2 more ultimates left in the tank for the GankStars. Buckwild, Hexafire. They could use that setup from Convergence, which is nowhere near available. Buckwild's going to be popped all on its own, but WRLDedit can't get anything done with it. 87%. Wxnderful takes down WRLDedit, but there's a big counter. Hexafire, 87%. Can the GankStars hang in there?
They're going to have to commit 1 by 1. Ace is going to try to get through the King Bomb. It will find a lot if he can get it off, but there actually is the shoulder bash that keeps him from getting that crowd control as the immunity's there. Skeppii cleans up 2. WRLDedit's trying to give his offer into the point, but Ash is here and happy to take that fight because he's got a barrack with him, and now looking to get that one through. Bloakley has the shield up, looking to stay on point. Naaaarrrrk as well is here, so the frontliners are back. Overtime continues to tick away, and it actually is Strictly Business backing up, finding a way to get back to 5 before they recommit for what could potentially be the last count.
Oh, so much room left to climb. Ash stays alive. Beautiful shoulder bash. Skeppii's going to take down Bloakley, and now it looks like Strictly Business starting to move in for the kill. Overtime's ticking out, and frankly, only a couple members left from GankStars here to contest. We've seen him do it once before. Can we see him do it again?
Not looking likely. Saris is the last one to get there, and the knockback will be enough. Skeppii cleaning up, and let me just say, that was probably the most beautiful tactical retreat that we have seen. Strictly Business could have continued to fight 2-on-2, 2-on-3, but say, back up, get full, get 5, come back and recharge in. There's no way GankStars is going to get all the way up to 100% before we can take another team fight. And look at those faces. It's not looking pretty for the boys in black and gold.
They do not appear pleased. And this is a big question, even still to be answered from Strictly Business as far as I'm concerned. How do you handle being down? Neither of these teams you mentioned saw much competition, saw much resistance throughout their qualifying process. How can GankStars handle being down 2-0? Strictly Business, if they find themselves in the finals, and if they find themselves on the back foot against Team Cryptic, how can they handle that type of pressure?
I mean, this really reminds me of kind of similar situations we saw almost a year ago with Sweden when it came with North America and Europe PC teams. Is both sides came in with their own version of what they believe is the best comp. So far, Strictly Business has offered that this is definitely better. But again, if you're GankStars, there's still a lot of weapons in the tool shed that you don't have to necessarily panic quite yet. They still have some time to play around with. 68,000 damage though, and 89,000 damage coming out for Wxnderful and Skeppii. I mean, come on, that's a lot.
A lot of ejector time for Woosh as well. 3,300 credits, 10 and 7 on his barrack. One of those dome shields was just pure clutch from this guy, absorbing the entirety of a Hexafire, keeping his whole team safe from what is more than enough damage to score yourself a pentakill if that damage can find its way through. So very good stuff. Tactical timing from his ultimate there to propel his team to victory. GankStars starting to look like they're getting a little bit more confidence back, looking like they're moving on towards the next game. Strictly business, taking care of said business, and hopefully they can continue to do so. Do we see GankStars take away this hipfire victor?
I mean, I think at a certain point you have to look at it and say, this is destroying us.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And when it comes down to it, there has to be somebody on GankStars who can handle picking up Victor and doing it at a similar level as Skeppii has been doing so far.
Let's be real, it's a simple build. It's a simple character to pull off. It's not really, I mean, it's positioning, sure, but it comes down to aim.
Yeah, without a doubt. And on top of that, just knowing when to properly time your barrages and when you can sprint forward versus when you have to sprint back, sprint out. And a lot of that comes down to the sheer ability to communicate with your team, which, again, we have seen time and time again throughout the qualifying weeks. GankStars has the ability to work as a fully functional team with very few cogs in the wheel that really don't turn well. This is just not such an instance.
Well, let's take a look at the maps here and see where this series will continue to play out. We've already seen Brightmarsh and Serpent Beach both going the way convincingly of Strictly Business, and we're going to take their talents to Frog Isle, see if they can turn things back around. And what scares me is that this continues to be a momentum-based map where we do see a lot of 4-0s, and GankStars, is this really where they want to put themselves?
I mean, I think if you find yourself after mentioned 4-0, you're going to feel a lot better going into the rest of the maps. But at the same point, you need to find a way to break up this point control that has been very much so in favor of Strictly Business. I mean, they've looked really good on the neutral capture point, and then along the way of the payload path, they just continue to find frags. There is no better map to get more aggressive when you find a team wipe than on Frog Isle. So if you're GankStars, I think you need to come out swinging, find a way to get aggressive, establish yourself, win that first team fight, and then just let momentum carry you through.
Oh, know what they've got to do. You just got to figure out
what they're going
to do it. Let's head to the champion draft here for GankStars and Strictly Business. Game number 3. Business Boys leading 2-0. GankStars with the first pick this time around. Will they go for? It's going to be the Ruckus. Kind of the same story here. Not trying to show too much too early on. Want to see if they can try a little bit out of Strictly Business before they want to show their hand.
At the same point, again, you've seen that just about anybody who plays a damage dealer in Strictly Business is able to do so at a high level, and you're going to get both the Drogoz and the Victor again. So now it's actually back on GS's side to say, all right, boys, you've seen what our Drogoz and Victor can do. How are you guys going to respond to it? And it will just be a more safe pick in Barrack, and then something a little different. Got a bomb coming back.
What? I don't know. If I see them taking away Victor first pick, I wonder if it would just be Skeppii playing Ruckus, just fat Victor, if you will. Barrack, Bomb King locked in, or GankStars continuing to get 8s where he's comfortable. The man on your screen right now, just a matter of getting him the momentum he needs to succeed. He's partially responsible for creating that momentum for himself.
Yeah. And he played a lot of Bomb King. I mean, that's where he really got his fame when it came to watching those streams. If you were a fan of GankStars, was 8's going to play Bomb King, flat out. No one else really does it all that well on console, comparatively, especially to him. It will be Bloakley and Makoa once again, but this is the interesting change-up. It will be a Meldamba. So you're going to have more of that crowd control when it gets to his ultimate of Dread Serpent pushing everybody away, and it might open up some areas for Bomb King, but there is a lot of in-tandem stuff that needs to happen. I mean, this is a triple frontline comp for GS, and that means that Bomb King has to be a star here.
Drogoz has the potential to go big as well. Torvald's got a lot of shields he can absorb. Ash gonna have to get to the back line, but I mean, who's the squishiest person on this GankStars lineup? Meldamba at 2450?
Yeah, that's not exactly the best situation to be in, but the Torvald pick does make sense. Able to use that recharge against all those shields that are in front of you, and of course this is a great map for the Hyper Beam, pulling in the 6th man that is the water hazard around the outside of it. And Ash as well, a lot of displacement. So it almost merits to think, well, maybe just GankStars will pick up a couple of resiliences somewhere midway through the game, just to kind of keep themselves away from that potential death hazard.
Tell you what I see happening right now. If they don't pick up resiliences, they're going to be getting juggled by not only Ash, by Torvald, by Combustible.
Yeah.
It looks like it could be pretty rough, and stacking against the Combustible Drogoz is not the gore. Playstyle kind of coined by D69's Bugsy with morale boost as well. He's going to be getting his Dragon Punch. He's going to be blasting these frontliners. Got to figure out how to almost be effective, I think, spread out before collapsing, because Drogoz Definitely don't want to give him a bunch of free damage.
And this is an all-in, I think, for GankStars. If you don't get up 2-0, you're going to eventually get to the late game where Wreckers are going to come online and be very strong against you. And actually, again, all that displacement is actually pushing GankStars back. They try to commit to the point, but Ash is able to use that kinetic burst and that shoulder bash to keep people away. And now Torvald is picking it up and jumping right into the fray as well.
Nobody can get healed up. First blood finally falls, almost a minute and 30 seconds into the game. Second blood. Third blood finally going the way of GankStars. Need to be careful here. Could get knocked off the map, but his health will probably expire before that happens. Naaaarrrrk with a big turnaround kill. Gets his emitter shield off as well. Wonderful trying to hold this high ground. Poppy bombed off 90% on the point for Strictly Business. Nice long range shot from Kcam. Already charges the Dragon Punch in under 2 minutes.
Wow. I mean, that's incredible. Already being a part of the 6 kills. You see the 6 streak form. Overtime expiring away. Strictly Business once again showing how dominant they've been, and it is translating to cross-regional play thus far. I know it's been hard for us to judge just watching individual instances of these teams playing, but so far Strictly Business, even in the face of 3 tanks, has been doing well.
Woosh getting knocked off there, but what I expect to have been the Poppy Bomb. Bloakley finds a nice frag as well for his squad, and so far out in front, not making use of the Dragon Punch just yet. It's going to be Kcam sitting on that one a little bit longer than I think I would like.
Yeah, I was going to say, if you get it in a minute 45, you could think that you're already probably at 60% with how free you've been throughout this game, still on a 7 streak. Try to find a way to get that double front line off. 8's finding himself 2 big kills. That is the support of Shoo down, and now Torvald, again, with very little mobility in his kit whatsoever. In fact, none, is the next target, but 8's also getting poked out once again by Kcam, but Naaaarrrrk sees an opportunity to jump right in. Aerial assault coming into the backline. Victor not able to get around the tree just in time.
You know, a little bit of a rookie mistake there. If you're caught out like Victor, like, you're not getting out of that, so I would have preferred to see you go pedal to metal personally instead of beating Naaaarrrrk. More kills, slams to the slaughter, and that's exactly why. You're hit by her, Victor. You put as much damage as possible out before you go down, and so Naaaarrrrk has a chance. Your teammates can maybe bring him down before he rips them apart.
Really good control from Naaaarrrrk to get up and over that wall and then continue to chase down kills. I mean, again, that needs to happen because 8's cannot do it all by himself. Assert Dominance coming out. It will land just on top of the wall, but stunned away. So Wonderful, although will be immune to damage, not able to put out any damage of their own. We'll jump right back, but
easy go.
Yeah, the turret to greet him for at least a short while before WRLDedit does fall again to Skeppii on this victory. You mentioned just jump in there, start letting the bullets fly, and see what happens. He finds 2 there.
Drops the big barrage as well. Illusory Rift was popped. Assert Dominance was used. 3 ultimates left for the GankStars here. Being kept in their spawns right now. Shoo getting a little bit aggressive as well. Here comes the Dragon Punch. Will it land? It will onto Kcam, but immediately trades out.
And this is looking really good as far as GankStars goes. Hyper Beam does pull out though, and as well the Dread Serpent will not be enough to keep Strictly Business away. GankStars, who had so many tools to use, just were not able to find any way to get them effectively off, and that's going to be 2-0 for Strictly Business. GankStars had so many ultimates. What went wrong?
Couldn't find a way to use them. The opportunity wasn't there. Strictly Business doing a good job of seizing opportunities before GankStars can seize them back. And there's a lot of, you know, experience that comes alongside that in terms of being able to recognize when is the appropriate time. When is there a window to use this ultimate? When is there a window to use that ultimate? You know, we haven't gotten any frags yet, but are they clumped up in a position that we can abuse? And we saw 2 nice frags come off the back of the barrage from Skeppii. He's clearly showing an eye, knowing when those opportunities are primed for the taking.
And we see that happen all the time with newer players to the scene competitively. Not to say that these guys are new by any means, but especially some of these people who have been from Overwatch before, which a lot of them have that experience, they look for these giant ultimates that can completely wipe out 3-4 people. That's not necessarily the best utilization. You get your ultimate back so quickly on some characters, you get the pick you need, and you're going to see 8 trying to do just that as he gets himself in there with the King Bomb, but nobody is available, and Kcam just counters it out with a fire spit of his own.
3 kills already going the way of Strictly Business. 1 by Naaaarrrrk gets answered. He's the last left alive, but he's got 150 HP in the corner. Daddy Torvald's going to take him out. 3 ultimates left. Not a great King Bomb to kick off that fight.
Not at all, and again, there is no defensive pressure being put on whatsoever by either the Barrack or the Makoa, or for that matter, the 3rd tank, Ruckus. They all have their ultimates up, none of them, again, being used whatsoever, so the Ash and Torvald are able to continue to push forward, while in the background, Kcam's able to do something that's going to be, oh, not 1-for-1! Catching himself on the ledge is Ash, and that's going to be Bloakley finding himself off the map, not taking one.
Unfortunate trades there. More dominant team fights from Strictly Business. Absolutely no answer right now. Clean 5 for nothing. All starting with that beautiful kinetic blast. Koa getting a taste of his own medicine deal somewhere in the venue, shaking his head.
That's the one that really keeps you up at night, right? And you can't even take them with you. Oh, that just feels bad. But still, that's 2 straight team wipes going for Strictly Business. Again, those 3 aforementioned ultimates for GankStars still are here to be used. They need to find a way to get at least 1 pick, get some momentum back in your favor. You have the barrage dropping out as we speak as well, looking for damage. It will confirm a lot of it onto Naaaarrrrk, and that being pulled away is actually Bloakley, who actually triggers the Ancient Rage. Here comes the Dragon Punch. Will be shut down though. 8's able to take him down before it connects.
Very, very screwed up right now in this team fight. Naaaarrrrk still trying to work his way into this back line. Less than 2,000 HP. He's had enough. Pops the Hexafire onto Torvald, but there's just so much HP, and it will be Woosh coming out on top of that toe-to-toe.
I don't think you would ever see a situation where Torvald just sits there and says, Hexafire? All right, I'm all there. Looking good. Hyper Beam as well, just to push people away from the point, looking for some extra space. They are on 3-0. Great salvo and fires it once again, getting some more proc of that. The dome shield's there, but it only lasts for literally fractions of a second as WRLDedit drops very quickly once again to Skeppii. Wonderful, keeping control at this point. Who's out? No one else left to go. It's a straight 4-0.
Goodness gracious, 4-0 on Frog Isle, 4-1. Game number 2, 4-0 in the first game as well. Strictly Business have dropped a single point to the GankStars.
I'm lost for words at this point in time. I mean, GankStars, again, have looked so strong in their online qualifiers as a team, coordinating ultimates, getting themselves to kind of work with one another. We've seen very little of that here. It's been one frontliner out by themselves. I mean, they ran a 3 frontliner comp. How are you not together at least 2 of those? They were so spread out throughout a lot of it, and again, that just left the opportunity for Ash and Torvald to jump right in and just kind of be that big wedge in between the front and back line.
I think you really hit the nail on the head in terms of displacement being the key word. 3 frontliners getting bullied out by 2. Something's got to give there, and it was just all the juggling that Ash can do. Combustible Drogos is a massive knockback. Hyper Beam wasn't even the biggest issue, I think, for them. It was really all taken care of by both Ash and Skeppii once again, leading the damage charts. 55,000, 52,000 for Wxnderful, 50,000 for Kcam, and not even really close. No one breaking even 30,000 on GankStars.
The other big thing, speaking of Wxnderful, and again, you mentioned that Hyper Beam was not the biggest factor. The shoulder bash was big, the kinetic bursts are big, and the single death for Wxnderful. That just means he's jumping into the fray and not getting punished whatsoever. That is something that desperately needs to change. But again, props to Wxnderful. He's finding these opportunities, knowing when he can get to the back line, disrupting the damage dealer of 8s, getting into the face of the support. I mean, this is what you want to see out of Ash. She is a bruiser champion. You want to find those opportunities.
He always kept an eye on his way out.
Yeah.
Did it very well, getting not only off the high ground, onto the low ground, and Paladins, when you use a mobility ability that doesn't complete its full animation, you can almost get like the double rolls on Kcam. As long as the roll's not completed by the time you leave a ledge or high ground, you will extend the duration, carry that momentum off the ledge with you. Did a great job of that. I mean, the one, I think, knockoff into the hazard zone kill came from her and stayed clipped. I don't know. That's not so much calculated, but just fun.
It's still good to know you can do it.
Absolutely.
I mean, again, that's the 6th man coming into play, just off the bench, ready to go. We'll take one down with you whenever you need it. And again, this has just been looking so strong for Strictly Business. Their damage has been out of this world, and it's coming from multiple sources, including their healer. We haven't talked about Shoo's damage as Ying, but it's getting up there. Not quite as close as the major damage dealer, but not far off. Right in the middle of the charts so far. I mean, this is looking good just overall across the board for Strictly Business.
Focusing Lens definitely seemed a very viable legendary choice. I've been playing a bit of console myself. Take a look at the maps here. It's going to be played. Jaguar Falls is where it could all come to an end. But back to Ying. The aim assist definitely helps you hit. Make sure you get all those ticks. The movement, it's a little bit more predictable. I think it's slow pace. We talked about that one console death on Androxus where it's just a little bit slower, more smoothed out with those controllers. And Ying, it's easier to track through. She does a lot of damage once she's hitting every tick of that laser beam.
And if you keep your illusions safe, which we, again, have seen another team on a different platform do very well, you get a lot of healing value out of it, too. And, you know, we can't take away from GS's healing. Their stats have been almost similar, but the fact of the matter is, if Ying doesn't die, that's more effective healing that's coming out throughout the duration of fights, not just, okay, we won this little 1v1, let me be Saris and heal you all the way up to HP. No, you can stay in fights for longer, and that's why Ying has been such a big value to a lot of teams. Specifically, we saw from the Chinese team on PC, but here as well, Strictly Business finding a way to continue to get that Ying and put her to full use.
Beautiful dimensional links as well from the Ying player, which is not easy to do, not easy to control, no matter the platform. But a masterful use of that to avoid the King Bomb, who, you know, that's who H was really gunning for. He didn't end up finding that on the previous game there on Frog. But Strictly Business looking comfortable, in control, sitting up 3-0. GankStars have been first picking Ruckus. A lot of PC teams have been doing that as well. We're calculating the win rates. Ruckus is losing more than he's winning.
Yeah, it
doesn't make him the worst, the problem.
No, not at all. And I still think that no matter who you ask, it's still the fact that Ruckus is the best secondary frontliner because of his ability to get that unmitigated repulsor field off. But on top of that, he's so good at spreading around those offensive itemizations, whether it is Cauterize or Wrecker, and that is the first pick for Strictly Business. Now, Drogo's actually being taken away here from Strictly Business. GankStars is going to give their go at it with the Makoa to counter out with the second and third overall picks.
So we know that Eights loves Bomb King. How does Kcam feel about it?
And anything else, really, for that matter. He's played a lot of Drogos, and it'll be interesting to see who from GS will pick it up as well. But they will continue to get their Victor, it looks like, and that's really, really big. And again, Ying, I mean, those have been two of the biggest influential factors for their squad.
They've got Fat Victor, regular Victor, healing Victor.
All the Victor.
They've got all the hit scan they need, and frankly, that's going to be a problem if history tells us anything for this Drogos player, who is going to be a sitting duck in a willow.
Hello.
I mean, it's kind of like, I guess, pink Drogos. Less flying.
Yeah.
But still kind of the same idea in terms of how you want to play it. Really good point denial, especially on Jaguar Falls.
Oh, especially against a Meldamba as well. You see that Gord go down, you just say, all right, I'll just go ahead and throw a dead zone right on top of that.
It'd be a shame if someone had a dead zone.
Without a doubt. Who needs Cauterize when you have an ability that just takes away all 100% of your healing? It will be Cassie coming out for GS, though. I'm excited to see if Naaaarrrrk's going to come out with that. Again, I had never seen someone play Cassie so explosive on console until he got him under his reign. So this is a decent draft, really, for both sides. I think it really comes down to what will Willow bring? Can they keep her alive? And to counter that, will Cassie be able to get the damage done?
One of my favorite characters personally on console. One of the best 1v1ers, I think, arguably in the game.
Yeah.
Has the ability to go toe-to-toe with Ruckus, just because I think she's so difficult to track. Fast left to right lateral movements are difficult on console, and it's going to be difficult to track Cassie. Ying's going to have that same problem. This pick could be what the GankStars need to get their momentum started. It's now or never. They're down 3-0 in this best of 7.
Need to generate energy from somewhere. Maybe it's the epic music behind us. Maybe it's the Cassie. Maybe it's just the map. Let's see what happens as we jump into Jaguar Falls for map number 4.
And here we go. Both teams at the ready. Willow. First time we've seen her being played by Strictly Business. Going to be played by Kcam, the famous Drogos player for this roster, who's made a name for himself. Straight up onto the high ground, he will go, looking for poke on anyone. Not a whole lot of GankStars come into vision just yet. Cassie straight to the back line to try and do her job, but just as quick as she came, she must leave.
And now the deployables are getting set up. Wonderful finding first blood onto Bloakley. You see the turrets and illusions just in front of Kcam, giving some extra security for this Willow to get more aggressive, sniffing out a flank as well. Skeppii helping out from the flip side. This is actually a flank that's being turned onto that flank as Woosh, again, is here to help out. Welsh Mania drops away 66% and stalling out for just a slight bit of time as Ash and Makoa are coming back. Eights on the Drogos, able to find a couple of fire spin damage to get right through onto that main point. But once again, this is a lot of health pulls up for the frontliners of Strictly Business.
Big fire spit lands onto two tanks, gets almost the full cooldown reset. That master card, 96%, 99%. Strictly Business with the first payload again, and they have no signs of slowing down. And one big thing that, you know, this is going to tell is they're not being pushed, they're not being pressured. No. Team Cryptic, they're watching, they're not really learning much in terms of they're not having to pull out any pocket stress. They're not even having to really change their draft.
Oh, yeah, and the fact of the matter is that none of these fights have really occurred on the neutral capture point. GankStars is trying to fight on the flanks, and Strictly Business is saying, no, we're good. We'll just sit right here, let you get picked apart by these turrets, and we'll get some damage from Skeppii on Victor, and you'll come right back into us before it's too late. And that's what we're seeing time and time again as we get to just below 1:50 on the clock. The payload's already moved halfway through its journey.
Dragon Punch is ready to go. Willow Trying to throw some damage, not really effective from this angle. Now she's going to be effective up on the high ground, raining down the pain. 3 kills, 4 kills for Strictly Business. Already up 1-0, looking to make it 2-0. Ruckus pressuring out Naaaarrrrk, who is nowhere to go on this Cassie, but back to spawn.
This is just an absolutely dominating performance. It's team wipe after team wipe after team wipe for Strictly Business. You can see the flashing numbers all signifying where those kill streaks are. A huge aerial assault channel into the big Hexafire, which finds a lot of damage, but only just the 2 kills, but it doesn't make a difference. Nobody else can stand on point with Bloakley and Ash down. And that's a very quick 2-0 for Strictly Business.
My goodness gracious, Strictly Business. 1 round stands between them and Team Cryptic. Console Wars Finals.
This is just, my goodness. Strictly Business, I had always thought looked really decent. Of course, we lose them to 2
You were saying
maps.
you thought this was going to be the
I
closer.
thought this was going to be a 6-7 game set, but GankStars is just not able to show up against what all this hit scan has brought for Strictly Business. The Victor, the Ruckus, everything has just been finding its target, and that's just been death after death. It's just no one's been able to take down the Barrack or the Ying. They just keep staying alive.
A couple of resiliences coming online for Strictly Business's big streaks across the board. Not a whole lot of ultimates left in the tank, but that's fine with them. They've got their 2-0. That's exactly what they're trying to do. Big dismounts coming through right now. Ruckus is tearing apart the GankStars as they try to make their way onto this point. Into the dead zone, no healing to be had. Dragon Punch being wound up, but Ace is going to be low HP. Gets around the corner, but doesn't live any longer.
That's just unfortunate channeling, not seeing where the Ruckus was, able to put so many bullets right into the face of Drogoz before he even got off onto that flight. And now again, continuing to dominate this dark room is that Ruckus. Sort of dominance coming out, but it's used in desperation. WRLDedit does find 1 kill in the Kcam, but still, no one's on the point. This is what Strictly Business does so well. They have Shoo just sitting on there while Wxnderful's out flanking his Ruckus, and at 93%, now a Dome Show here as well. Who can contest?
They take the fights from the point. They're winning them even still with that. They know exactly where they're going to be positioned, but GankStars just can't do anything against this. Ultimate's ready for Malzamba. Willow's got her a flight available to her. Just basically allows her to shoot down, keep good positioning from wherever she may be on the map. Goodness gracious.
This is what Strictly Business has done well, though, now that I'm thinking about it, using the Fernando earlier on with the Ruckus. They're really good at knowing when the Ruckus can get aggressive because there's a shield up and when he can't. So when they have the barricade that's up, they get more aggressive and they find a way to get these cheeky flanks because they know they can get right back out by using repulsor field, by using emitter, and that's been really hard for GankStars to deal with because Bloakley doesn't have a target to pull.
Fey Flight being used right now. A lot of kills coming through. Double kill for Kcam. Strictly Business making their way to the Console Wars Finals. Only 40% left to push this payload. They're up 3-0. They haven't lost more than 1 point throughout this best-of-7 set. 3 ultimates in the tank. They've got everything they need. GankStars trying to make their final stand.
And the really good Dread Serpent coming out and resulting in 2 kills, but still, Wxnderful's in the backline finding 2 of his own and looking for more of this Hexafire right in the face. And now with the barrage as well, Skeppii and Wxnderful have done it by themselves to turn this team fight back in their favor.
Ash has got to be the one. She has to step up here and now. Kinetic Burst will knock away Barrack, but she will fall shortly thereafter. A minute remains, even if Strictly Business lose this fight. Dragon Punch is ready. Salvo prime. Salvo let loose. Salvo finds a kill. 8's the saving grace for the GankStars, but their respite shall be brief.
You can't be passive right now if you're GankStars. You have to get out there. You have to get yourself in a position to take in whatever comes your way from Strictly Business, to buy some time, if anything, just in case you do get wiped, to get back to the point and defend. But you can see they're completely turtled in, not getting aggressively whatsoever, allowing Kcam to throw in these seedlings, get a position for the dead zones, and now allowing Skeppii to get into the backline. He finds himself 1 with Woosh as well. They find a 2nd, and now the Assert Dominance coming out again in desperation. Not able to do much as Kcam flies himself away, and this is looking good for the side of Strictly Business as kills continue to go their way.
Ash, the last one left alive to contest. Naaaarrrrk's gonna roll in here, but Naaaarrrrk quickly falls. Strictly Business, a near flawless semi-final best-of-7. Tear the GankStars apart.
I feel like a fool.
Effortlessly.
I feel like a fool. I was sitting here telling you how this was
How do you
going to
think
be
GankStars feel?
such a close, wow, Shade. This is going to be a lot closer, and it just absolutely wasn't. I mean, this was incredible performance by Strictly Business. Let's not take anything away from them. They were able to piece this from point to point, payload to payload, and do it well as a team.
That's what I'm saying. I'm not seeing glaring flaws.
No.
I'm not seeing huge misplays from the GankStars. We're just seeing wins from strictly business.
It's going to be really interesting, you know, as we foreshadow to tomorrow. What will the Acrobatics Pip do against this? Because you have to figure Swiper is going to continue to go back to that. And again, this is where it becomes interesting because strictly business does not favor or really play that Pip. So it is going to be comp versus comp. Who just frags better? Who's comfortable more?
Well, I mean, we heard it in the interview yesterday. It was actually something I was curious about. He looks so good on Andrew. I'm like, man, who do you like better? I mean, we all love the Pip, but what are you feeling? And he says, well, I like it when they take Pip because I feel more comfortable on Andrew. Now, if we look at strictly business, if they're not going to take the Pip, it's on Team Cryptic. Are they going to put Swiper on Androxus? Is Swiper going to step up and say, this is what I want to play? I know you guys like the Pip. He says it still brings a lot to the team fight in terms of distraction value while still putting in a good amount of damage, but it then puts the onus on his team, he thinks, to then win the team fight and frag out.
The interesting thing, I think, when you get to tomorrow is how they prioritize the drafts. Because if you're not afraid of either the Androxus or the Pip coming off, you can save that pick until last. If you're not afraid that they're going to take it from you, or if you're only going to take one of the two, then you're essentially going, all right, I know what I'm going to play now. And you can kind of cater the picks, whether you're going to play the Pip or the Androxus if you're Swiper, based on what you're seeing develop throughout the draft. But again, strictly business is smart. I mean, they understand very well what they want to do, and they will pick you apart where they see your flaws. So if it is a draft, or if it is a team fight, whether it's on the flanks or on the central point where it comes to a payload, that's going to be a really tough cookie to crack.
Well, why speculate when you can ask them themselves? Strictly business and Rain Day on the stage. What do you got for us?
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm here with the man who got the pentakill today. Skeppii, how are you doing, my friend? Congratulations. Walk me through the win, how you guys are feeling right now.
Well, honestly, going into that, we weren't really expecting to be a sweep like that, but we came out strong. We played like we were at home, and it's just wins from there.
So you guys were obviously so dominant in that set. Can I ask, why were you expecting much more competition? I mean,
honestly, 8's team, you know, GankStars, they're a great team. They won the EU qualifiers with a very dominant performance, and, you know, we're just good friends all together. So, I mean, it was a fun game, but I don't know. We came out on top.
It's always good when things surprise you in a good way, right? Going into, obviously, tomorrow, you all are going to be facing off against your PS4 rivals, Team Cryptic, who in the console wars are looking strong as well. What do you think about going up against them on Sunday?
I mean, again, they're a great team. Their comps are great. They play it really well. The Pip plays awesome. But if we get the picks that we have and we play like we did, I think we should be able to take the win.
I wonder if they'll let you keep getting Victor, man. That hipfire was dangerous. Skeppii, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. Congratulations to Strictly Business as well for making it to the finals of the Paladins Console Wars. That's going to do it for us today, folks. But before we do go, I want to let you know where you can find us heading into tomorrow. Of course, at 4:30, you're going to be able to see the action start here. It'll be the Console Wars, Skeppii, this guy, and Strictly Business facing off against Team Cryptic. And after that, we have the Paladins Summer Premiere PC Finals. And that's going to be Team Cryptic versus the Chinese Craze, QG Craze, coming up against each other in a best-of-7 set. My name is Rainy. I can't even sleep. I don't know if I'll be able to make it until tomorrow. The excitement is absolutely vivid here. But from all of us here at Hi-Rez Studios and in Valencia, Spain, as always, remember to never give up, never stop gaming, and we'll see you tomorrow for the finals.